survival of the fittest and a slog to the very end, and we should be on our way any moment. And saltyphry is off and starting out with the Dark Chapel. Now we are in inverted mode as Chexhuman checks into his house, which is now transported into the Dark World. Link woke up and found out, oh crap, I'm in the Dark World now. There have been a lot of the changes made to the map to make this new mode brand new in version 30 possible. Although the map has been edited to make some of these things happen, we will try to explain some of the changes that are made as we encounter them. And we have a couple pretty standard openings here. We have saltyphry heading up towards Skull Woods, which is available, and Chexhuman heading towards Stumpy, one of the early checks available. And he probably will also come down and try to get a few things.
Yeah, Chex looking like he's going to go do the archery game to get some extra money for the digging.
It's one of those things you don't see often in regular randomizer, but with money coming at a premium, especially in this mode, you've got to get edit money where you can. It looks like he's setting himself up for the particular setup. If you do this right, you can get this right just about every time. And saltyphry showing off a quick and easy bomb farm here in the Skull Woods.
Yeah, so some intentional deaths there. First chest is useless for the match.
And Chexhuman using his farm money to check out the digging game, one of the early checks available. Between 1 and 30 digs, he'll strike the earth and hopefully to find something that'll lead him in a direction and maybe give him a little bit of offense. Unfortunately, he just gets a few sticks.
Well, you could throw them at people, right? That's what they're good for, right?
Unfortunately not, and even if we obtain the silvers, they, just like in hard mode, they will not be usable until we reach Ganon. And we have one of our few heart pieces there for saltyphry, and he's going to nope out. Chexhuman is going to head on over and use the last bit of his money, I think, to purchase some bombs, and then likely check Hype Cave. As we get our first map check here, I saw the Green Pendant in Swamp Palace and a 5-6 in Thieves Town. And it looks like the other 5-6 was in Ice Palace. All right, and we have a Hype Cave check here, one of the early high item density checks. Let's see if we have some kind of Hype Cave here, or will we just feel a little disappointed. 50. There's a hammer. Being that this is inverted mode, I'm going to give that a solid 9, just because that hammer is going to be huge, especially with this being hard mode. That is going to be with expert mode, this is going to be our main source of offense.
Yes, hammer does tempered sword damage, and since our max sword in an expert mode is master sword, we want to use the hammer as much as we can. Of course, the master sword spins do tempered sword damage, but the hammer you don't have to charge up, even though it is kind of.
And there we have a really nice tier 1 statue pull shown off by Chexhuman there. That's 80 rupees for the tier 1 pull. That's huge.
Yeah, he might look to try and do that again to get some more free money later.
Alright, Chexhuman is going to go ahead with his hammer, and looks like he's going to head up toward the pyramid ledge, and maybe our friend the catfish. Actually, he can't quite get there without a lift upgrade, but...
Now, there is a pull, right? He's about to come up to another pull. You think he might do it again?
If he has good game knowledge, I'd imagine he'd go for it. Though he did kill another enemy. Gonna make his way up here. He may be sitting up for the next turn. It's a nice little bomb drop there as saltyphry makes quick and easy work of this arrow game.
Hook shot on pyramid ledge.
That's huge. That'll opens up the east side of Death Mountain once we get more of the pieces of the puzzle. Death Mountain with this being inverted mode, Death Mountain is a huge place of items. It's also a nightmare when it comes to routing just because of how many changes were made. You're gonna have to go up and down the mountain a lot more times than you're used to.
Someone asking in chat, how did the tree pulls work? So there are 3 different rewards you can get from pulling certain objects in Link to the Past. And those are obtained by either killing 1 enemy and then pulling, killing 4 enemies without taking damage and pulling, and killing four enemies and then taking damage and then pulling.
It's interesting to note, while the hookshot does not stun, enemies that are coded to be insta-killed by the hookshot, like Pencators and the Murderdactyl there, will always be one-shot by the hookshot just because that's how they're coded to be so. So it won't provide stuns, but it will get to one-shot some of the more annoying enemies like Pencators and mini Moldorms. And it looks like Chexhuman's going to head back and check that accessible back chest here in Skull Woods, and saltyphry is making his way through the Village of Outcasts. Now, to access that Death Mountain, we still have to either find the flute or the lamp and a lift upgrade. Though to get the old man, we'll have to the old man is in the Dark World, but we'll have to take him up to the top of the mountain, pull him in the Light World, and bring him back to his home in the Light World to open up his load point. And just some money in the chest game, and Chexhuman finds not a whole lot in Skull Woods and takes the hand right out. Now, with that hammer in hand, it does open up potentially all of Thieves Town. One of the inverted mode is designed to be a more difficult mode, and 3-heart hammer blind could be something these runners will be required to do.
Yes, it looks like I think every location but Thieves Town has been checked now. So
As far as logically accessible locations, that's all we've got left, and we've just got 5 rupees here in the first chest. Actually, I don't think either runners has checked the big. Did anyone runners check the big chest here in Skull Woods?
I do not believe they got the big. Oh, wait, yes, they did get the big key. I think.
Yeah, they just pulled that big key here, so I don't think saltyphry checked this chest, but I could be wrong.
No progression from Quake just yet, but that's something that saltyphry might forget later on.
That's something that could definitely come to play, and there's the small key for Skull Woods. That means that the big chest here in Thieves Town, the big chest in Thieves Town is definitely in logic at this point.
Now I know I saw at least one item in the front half of Thieves Town, so.
And that was a 5-er. So we've got most of the items hiding in the back here. Only 2 hearts to work with as we make our way back. It looks like Chexhuman's gonna hang and clear more of the Village of Outcasts. The saltyphry unfortunately takes a bit of a hit from that fire snake. And here we have one of the first big hurdles in inverted mode, the Hellway in Thieves Town. Anything in this room is going to kill him.
On to the hardest part. Can he make it?
Getting close. Gotta get those fancy feet on, and looks like he's in. Interesting that anti-fairy went through that portion, but... Going in our first hint check. A piece of heart is held by someone friendly. And not the most helpful? But at least it's one more heart piece we're gonna have to find. We'll be hoping to find. Considering there's only 1 heart container left in the pool. Careful for those chameleon enemies. They do 2 hearts of damage. And there's our first of what is likely to be quite a few deaths.
That was not a good place to take a death there.
Welcome to Link to the Past Randomizer Dark Souls mode. That's where we're at. It looks like our runners are going to go ahead and push their way through more of Thieves Town. Well, we could take a moment to go through some of the inverted changes. Link's house is in the Dark World, where it would be in the Light World, and the big bomb is the bomb shop is in the light world. You'll need the mirror in order to complete the quest for the pyramid fairy. There are a lot of terrain changes made to make this possible. Locations in the light world that would require the mirror are just accessible now. So you're starting in the dark world. All the requirements to get to those now light world portals are the same, so they're still going to be locked by the same item requirements, either hammer plus lift or double lift. Aga 1 has moved up to the Ganon's Tower location, and Ganon's Tower has taken up residence on top of the castle tower. You can use Aga 1 could be required to gain your light world access. You'll still need the moon pearl. I guess you can call it a sun pearl now. Chex is making his way through the hallway. We find just the compass on the light reveal room here.
Okay, so I looked at his items there and it looked like he had just the compass. So he must have pulled 2 other items in the front of Thieves Town. So we're looking for 2 more.
Absolutely, and we're hoping for something that's a little bit easier to progress with than some of our alternatives here. Though we already have the hammer in hand. Saltyphry's going to make their way down to the dungeon. With no lift upgrade, they are going to have to go the long way down to Blind Cell. Some of the other changes as we go through, the terrain changes were made to make some of the other things possible. You can now walk straight into Ice Palace when you swim over there. There's no longer a wall there. The only way to access Desert Palace is via the Book of Medora, so we are going to have to find that, and that becomes basically another ice rod for our runners to find. And our Thieves Town's big chest holds our very first lift upgrade. That's 2 pieces of the Light World puzzle found. We just need to find that Moon Pearl.
And with that glove, that the only other thing that would open would be catfish, I believe.
You would be right on that one. It does open us up to a sequence break of Death Mountain. If we were to decide to skip the lamp for now, which these runners may choose to do just because of the amount of items, especially with the hookshot, that opened up Super Bunny Cave to them as well as Hookshot Cave. Actually, yeah, because they have the hammer and stuff to get across.
That almost seems like the better play. And here we have Hammer Blind with 3 hearts. Here we go.
Everybody's three heart hammer blind. 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hits from Saltyphry. First phase down. 1, 2. Slightly off script, but it's hard to keep with the hammer. Just remember, blind hugs or head hits are 2 hearts, and fireballs are 1. Takes a hug there, but gets the final hit, and down goes blind.
Very nicely done by Saltyphry.
Gets a big 24 shovels, and at 13.5 minutes in, we have our first crystal. Chexhuman's gonna go ahead and start and pick up his fight. Clean setup on that first phase. Saltyphry saving and quitting. Nice and clean second phase. Still needs to be careful. Ooh, I think that was just about the exact... It must have been just a frame off. For those asking, bombs do not work on blind. The hammer, sword, cane of Samaria, cane of Burna. And is there any other item I'm missing there? I think that's it.
Did you say Samaria?
Yeah, both canes, the hammer, and the sword. I don't believe bees affect him. And Saltyfry's gonna go ahead and find their hookshot on the pyramid ledge. Chexhuman's gonna head up toward our friend the catfish.
So I think at this point, all we have left in logic would be catfish and the first chest in pot.
Potentially more if there's a key in that first chest. Depending on how the keys lay out, we could find our way almost to the dark maze.
Yes, you are correct.
Kena Samaria Blind is, I think, one of the more entertaining fights. And Kena Burnout can do it, but you have to use your entire magic bar, and if you miss, and with the lag and iframes, it becomes very difficult to time that out.
Yeah, I sometimes find Samaria easier to fight blind with.
Alright, and we woke it. You thrown this rock into my pit. Take this thing. Big 5 rupees. Looks like we're gonna head in the pod.
Looks like both runners have enough money to make that play, so that's good.
It's something you not often think about with the early game. Rupees aren't as plentiful because we don't get to instantly run through Kakariko and gain all the money. But saltyphry has chosen to go back to. I don't. Did they nope out of the Lost to Blind a minute ago?
Chex did not go back and fight blind again.
Alright, so it's interesting what saltyphry is. I guess saltyphry is trying to knock it off the list. We know that there's nothing there in Bumper Ledge. He's gonna go ahead and sequence break the mountain. So when he emerges from this cave, he will find himself with the old man on the dark side of Death Mountain. He will have to climb to the top, and then climb back down with the old man in the light world, where he will be a bunny and trapped. Interesting to note that bunny traversal may be logically required in inverted mode. The old man could be potentially holding on to our Moon Pearl, provided that there's a lamp here in pod for Chexhuman.
Yeah, navigating through the dark rooms without a sword's a bit harder, so runners tend to use things like the hook shot or the boomerang to help guide them.
Alright, and Chexhuman did find our first key of pods, so we're gonna be able to dive deeper. Saltyphry should be nearing the exit soon. I believe I just heard the keys take off. And we are out. Now we've got a pretty quick and just slow and pain-free jog up the dark side of the mountain, and then we have to dodge our way down the light world side.
Chex just got the bow in pod.
Well, that's interesting. That opens up even more of the Dark Palace for us here. Still don't have we don't have logical access to the Dark Maze and the Dark Rooms in the back, but it does open up the checks on the Bowlock side. The shield requires a green pendant, so now we know that Sahasrara is holding onto one of the 3 shield upgrades that are in the pool, but only one that we can use. Though I doubt either of our runners are going to take the time to turn in the green pendant.
Yeah, especially since the best shield is
Ooh.
fighter.
And then I just see an ice rod on Spectacle Rock.
I believe you did.
Well, we'll have to keep that in mind, and now saltyphry has gone through and taken care of that. Now, interesting to note interesting that saltyphry is showing off some of the few things that bunnies can do. Bunnies can talk to NPCs, they can pick up items on the ground, they can talk to hint tiles, they can read books, and they can pull the pedestal. So I think he's going to go grab the item inside Spectacle Rock and check the hint tile.
Unfortunately, they cannot open chests, so. But of course, Salty is nowhere near any chest that he needs to open.
Can pick up that 5 rubies and check this hint tile. Alright, so now we know we will not have to worry about the purple chest, as it just has a little bit of money for us.
Those
And
some two decent hints so far, so that's nice.
two nice hints that just knock off a bunch of things that you just don't want to have to deal with. Find just another key in pod, so deeper we must go. Only 2 chests left in logic without traversing a dark room here. We have to find... The bow itself did not open up too much, except for more of pod, which yielded nothing.
Looks like Salty might be trying to get past the Lionels on East Dark Death Mountain.
Ah, here comes everybody's favorite game, Dodge the Lionel. Lionels are jerks. I actually see a lot of people as they'll wait to either take a ooh nice slink by. A lot of times you'll see runners intentionally take the hint for the fireball, which you can survive on 3 hearts. The hug you cannot. Bombs in the first chest. There's Chexhuman down to 1 heart and pot here. There's one of our swords.
Okay, so now we have an Uncle Assured Master Sword.
That is, if we do not find another sword before we get to that point. And Saltyphry is going to go ahead and check out Super Bunny Caves. We get our last logical check here in Palace of Darkness. The Moon Pearl! Chexhuman has light world access at 21 minutes. And there's a shield for Saltyphry.
He also picked up the mitts, which aren't as useful in inverted seeds, but they do help us get to some things.
The only thing in inverted mode that is 100% Titan's Mitts locked is the King's Tomb. Everything else can be circumvented otherwise. As I see, we have the Quake Medallion for Turtle Rock. Saltyphry will need to find his way back to the big chest of Skull Woods to pick that up. That could come in to be very big. Interesting that you can actually jump down from the tail onto that part of Turtle Rock, as Chexhuman takes a death in the dark maze of Palace of Darkness. I'd have to imagine, though, he's probably going to go ahead and nope out since he has dark light world access. There's just so many things that just opened up to him. So it looks like Saltyphry is going to go ahead and check off that item. It looks like he's heading back toward the Skullwood's big chest, but he'll need to make his way to pod afterward. Gonna go ahead and set up that bomb jump, and Chexhuman is gonna head out over to the village portal and make his way into the light world. One of the interesting, though, it is interesting to see how quickly they gain access to the light world, as that's one of those things that could just drag on an inverted seed. But once you get into light world, the game really kind of lightens up and opens up to a bit less punishing.
Lightens up. Ah, I see what you did there.
I didn't even realize it until you mentioned it, but I think Chexhuman realized they took a wrong turn. Looks like Saltyphry's gonna head on over here and check hammer pegs in the meantime. Note that this is currently out of logic for him. He needs to make his way into pod to pick up that Moon Pearl. And I did see a pendant on Hera. And the blue pendant on Eastern. And there's the magic cape for Saltyphry. Not the most useful. We've already seen the bumper ledge is just bombs, and it does use triple magic in places where it's not required for invincibility. Alright, Saltyphry mitts in hand looks like they are going to head over to Palace of Darkness, and they will pick up their Moon Pearl after they cut through. And Chexhuman is starting through our Kakariko village check. It's not start 24 minutes in. So far, just a bit of money. And there's our silver arrows in the Kakariko well. They are not available to us except for in Ganon's room for the rest of the seed.
Nice to not have to worry about where those might be.
Because after all, this expert mode, because with expert mode, the maximum is 9 hearts. With green mail, a Ganon hug does a full 8 hearts of damage. And the chances of you finding all those heart pieces are pretty slim. And we have some flippers here in the thieves hut. Still missing our bit of logical access to those Titans myths and the other sword. Got enough money here for the bottle vendor. We'll find only a 20% rebate. Go ahead and check out the chicken hut here and see what we've got inside. Another piece of heart. We're getting closer to an extra heart of health here. And there's Saltyphry's bow, so he's going to turn around and check to this boat lock side, I'd imagine. In fact, he kind of has to with the keys.
Yeah, I think he almost forgot he did have a key.
Alright, we'll take a look at the library ledge here. We've just got 50 rupees there, so I doubt we're going to be back. Chexhuman opting to just peek at the race game. And there's a bottle with a blue potion in it. I'm thinking he's probably going to go back for that.
Or if he might go back to Kakariko to check Sick Kid after that.
Definitely seems like the good play there. Now, as a reminder, that blue potion is only going to heal a single heart and 25% of a magic bar. So that blue potion is worth a single heart and 2 fire rod shots.
And we don't get half magic in expert, right?
What's half magic? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, in the vanilla game, if you take the powder and sprinkle it on the magic bat cave, he gives you the ability to use twice the magic.
Doesn't he curse you with using less magic? Ooh! What a curse.
In fact, in easy modes, you can get quarter magic.
Oh, those were the days of easy mode. But here we are in expert, where it's all punishment and no joy.
Godspeed, all of these runners.
And it looks like Chexhuman is going to show off one of the quick changes to inverted mode, as he's going to head down to K45. Who needs a mirror? The ground's flat. And there we have 300 rupees. Well, that's the rest of his Zora money, and our friend Zora is definitely in logic at this point. Looks like he's going to head over and start walking the South Shore area. Note that not only is Agina available, but also Checkerboard Cave if he decides. It looks like our crab check is just a single green rupees.
With a hook shot, he can get straight to the chest, or he's not going to check that chest. Oh, okay.
I think he didn't either just muscle memory away from it or just didn't quite get it right. We have just a 20 rupee there. And 50 inside. Saltyphry has to be careful here. If he takes a death down here, he's going to put himself away from the Moon Pearl. Finds the compass. Hopefully he'll head down to the hallway here and grab his Moon Pearl. Just has to watch out for these terror pins. And there we have Light World access for Saltyphry as Chexhuman makes his way through the mini Moldorm cave. Thankfully, hookshot in hand, they'll always be one shot by the hookshot. And now we have 5 items. Let's hope for a little bit more hype. 55, a heart piece, the Uncle Bombs, and $5. At least we got some bombs. And there we have Saltyphry making use of his Quake Medallion to freeze all of those mini Dodongo guys. And he finds the magic mirror hiding in the dark maze.
Wow, what a find. Chex decided not to go into that dark room, and
He did and got sniped, I thought.
well, yeah, but he didn't end up getting it, obviously.
Yeah, it was definitely a good use of the Quake Medallion here by Saltyphry to take care of the enemies in this room and freezing them in place. We have an Ice Rod cave check here for Chexhuman. We know that Ice Rod is hiding on Spectacle Rock. There's $300 for Chexhuman. Looks like, I imagine he's gonna go ahead and walk down and do a little bit of swimming. That mirror could end up coming in big. Oh, thank you for that. Turns out that the Quake doesn't stun them, it turns them into the little slime enemies. But still a lot less threatening when they're not firing fireballs at you everywhere. As you see, 10 arrows we could have just picked up there on the Lake Hylia Island, but we're skipping those. Head on over to visit our friend the Hobo, and Saltyphry is going to make their first visit into the Light World.
More equipped than Chexhuman was, that's for sure.
Yeah, that lift upgrade, the lift upgraded mirror aren't leading us to much at the moment. The mirror does help a bit with routing the Death Mountain, and opens up the potential for some checks in Turtle Rock. As with his Titan's Mitts, he has the ability, the Titan's Mitts, the hammer, he could get himself into quite a few places in Turtle Rock, even without the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, he could get just about anywhere, without the cane, except for the first big room with the requires the Cane of Samaria and the boss.
With the map edits of inverted mode, the mountain is just a place that revolves a lot of mirroring, a lot of climbing, and a lot of jumping around. A new maze in and of itself. And Saltyphry is definitely going to make use of that really nice tree pull we got here in this seed. And now we have a visit to the king of all scams himself. We swam all this way, paid $500, and all we got was something. Just 3 premium artisanal bombs. Definitely gonna hype up that price.
Ouch.
Though Chexhuman was sitting pretty good on money after doing the checks there in Kakariko. To still have 600 rupees after losing 500, you're feeling pretty good. And it's not like buying potions is going to be all that useful in this seed. And Saltyphry's making way through the escape sequence. So far, nothing of note aside from that Uncle Assured Master Sword, which Chexhuman is heading for.
Yeah, we did see both the map and the small key, so that means the rest of these chests here, also in the sanctuary, are items.
And that small key does open up the sewers that we have not yet found that lamp. Well, I take that back. We just found that lamp.
How convenient.
So that opens up our access to the Death Mountain that he had already sequence broken, as well as he just put his mirror back in sequence. So he's definitely got a little bit of time saved, but Chexhuman will have access to those items a little bit sooner than you would have hoped. Though you would have to imagine that if you're in his shoes, you'd have to think that your co-runner probably also chose to sequence break the mountain. So really, at this point, I can't really consider either of these runners truly in a lead. As we find the mushroom hiding in the sewers. How fitting.
Once we get that case to Mario, we can go check the Magic Bat Cave.
And saltyphry makes quick work of the very first boss of the game in vanilla, the Key Rat.
Been known to kill runners in standard mode that don't know how to use anything but a sword.
And back to escape is 3 bombs, 20 rupees, and 50 rupees, so money and booms. All in all, we have not gained... the lamp was the biggest find, as that now gave us logical access to finish off the Palace of Darkness. So looking at our current equipment, what can we accomplish? We can complete the Tower of Hera. We can complete Eastern and Pod. And I believe we also have access to complete Swamp Palace by looking at my item set. And we can gain access to that Ice Rod, which we know is on Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, I think it's time to go dungeon diving.
It looks like saltyphry is sending himself up to mirror from the Light World into where Palace of Darkness is, though he will have to... Oh, wait, he's already picked up Kiki the monkey, so... He's going to go ahead and take care of Eastern Palace and then into Pod. And as we get to fewer checks, please, if you have not already done so, show these runners support with a Twitch follow. They're putting themselves out there and putting on one heck of a show with a really tough seed, so give them a little bit of love. As we find just 20 rupees in the first chest of Eastern Palace.
Yeah, don't just give him a little bit of love. Give him a whole lot of love, like Led Zeppelin would.
I can definitely dig that. And we find the map in that chest. Oh, it's interesting to see that how the items that aren't meant for dungeons can change and speed up things. And Chexhuman reveals that that 20 rupees that was in the back of Escape was actually our 3rd shield location. So we've seen all 3 of them. However, it's expert mode, so we only get the plastic piece of crap.
And one other thing that Chexhuman is doing is checking the sanctuary chest, which Salty did not check.
Interesting. Some caches in the Lost Woods. That's helpful. It was just 20 rupees anyway. Or it could have been the... Actually, no, that wouldn't have been the... It could have been the Master Sword. Or I should say a sword upgrade. Alright, saltyphry making his way through the first of the dark rooms of Eastern Palace.
think we've seen all 3 dungeon items, so I think the rest of these checks here are items.
Alright, and we're running his heart count a little bit low here, so we got a heart and a half, but being as this isn't Randomizer, I'd imagine that the backside of Eastern Palace isn't going to give saltyphry too much trouble.
Yeah, and especially since he has a lamp, he can see where he's going.
Definitely, once you read expert mode, you definitely feel a little more of a moth and are a little more like a moth and very thankful for finding a lamp.
I'd rather not feel like a moth, because people would want to kill me.
Alright, continuing on through the Cannonball Run. And Chexhuman is checking out the Graveyard Ledge, which is accessible because inverted mode. Did not find a hint for it yet, but it's just 10 sticks. Interesting, that little bit of a random sword bonk that made him lose his spin there.
Yeah, that was a little interesting. Also, I like the strat of just holding your sword out to keep your strafing on those red icons.
saltyphry unfortunately taking a hit, so he's lost the handle on the quick kill here of the Armos Knights, but I don't think it'll give him too much trouble in the end. A little bit slower, 20 rupees get, and that is the Pendant of Wisdom. And we have a mushroom turn in here on Chexhuman's side.
Now, did he save and quit before he turned it in?
I admittedly was watching the Armos fight. And that's $5, and he contemplated whether he was going to save and whether he was going to reset, but I think he had picked up something.
Yeah, I am pretty sure he did not save and quit before doing.
And Saucer Hollow's Closet not leading too much for us. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and visit and finish off the Palace of Darkness. Looking at what we need to find, we still need to find the Cane of Samaria. We still need to find the Fire Rod. We know the Ice Rod is hanging out on Spectacle Rock. We will need to find the Book of Medora to gain access to Desert. And potentially the boots, depending on how Desert Palace is locked up. This is an all dungeon siege, so we are going to have to complete all of the dungeons as well as Ganon's Tower and the Castle Tower, defeating both phases of Aghanim.
Yeah, and also we do, in case we need another medallion, we'll need Myers' medallion in order to.
And we have not seen that yet. And Meyer is accessible to us right now with the magic mirror, which Chexhuman does not quite have yet, but he'll be in the pod moment after he completes Eastern Palace, almost assuredly. Speaking of the Book of Medora, there we have it.
So both the mirror and the book were in that room.
So access to both parts of the Desert and Mire are available right then and there in the Dark Maze. What do you know about that?
And plus, why not throw in a medallion for some, just for kicks?
And it also throws in that was definitely a logically required double dip of the Palace of Darkness. As the logic will never expect you to navigate a dark room.
Theoretically, Salty could have tried to beat Palace of Darkness his first trip in, but seeing as this is expert and without a lamp, it's tall.
It's something I don't think many would attempt unless they really felt behind. Even so, that opens you up to a lot of potential failure. Chexhuman fires his arrow into the Cyclops statue there. He's gonna head on back toward the back. Two of our 3 coins collected. We have not seen Myers Medallion, but imagine that after we come out of this, with desert being available to us, we have Swamp Palace available, we may be spending some time on the south side of the world. And also with that Bombos Medallion, we did just open up Ice Palace as well.
There's too many choices right now.
So which dungeon do you want to dive? That is the question.
Why?
If you put yourself in these runners' shoes, where are you going to go, Relkin?
I would venture over to the desert and mire area just because those are so close to each other.
Personally, I'm probably thinking ice and swamp because of the sheer amount of items and information available. There are 3 hint tiles in the Dark Palace, and he needs to be careful here. Looks like he's going ahead and use his cape that uses triple magic in order to save potential hits. But it looks like the Helmless Sword King is setting up to sit. Ooh, still for a moment. But down goes Helmless Sword King for saltyphry.
Yeah, that was a clutch spin slash right there.
Alright, that's the crystal for saltyphry, as Chexhuman also loses a little bit of the handle of the quick kill of the Armos Knights, but picks up his 20 rupees and his Pendant of Wisdom. Execution is definitely on showcase here, and saltyphry did pick us into this mess, so it's good to see him making good use of it. But chat brings up a good point. Saltyphry is probably going to go ahead and clear Kakariko Village, as he has not done so yet.
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting that Chexhuman has decided to not go and finish the Palace of Darkness right away. Looks like they're going up to Death Mountain.
Well, they did not have the mirror, so they could not mirror immediately over to.
Oh, that's right. Good thinking. I'll remember what items people have eventually. It sounds like Wolf Link is sitting there and lighting up the buttons that tell me who has what. It looks like saltyphry is going to go ahead and again potentially give us hype or kill the hype. He's got the Book of Medora. He's heading north in the forest. We have ourselves a pedestal check, folks. Or not. Oh, he's going to go ahead and check the items first. Taking the long way. Oh, looks like he swerved me completely and is just checking the item locations.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think he baited you.
I got you baited. It happens, but I mean, there's no better time to do it. Do it for me. Make me feel less stupid. Nope, I'm a dumb.
No such luck.
Rest in peace, pedestal. Hopefully someday we'll see you. With this being all dungeons, that could be locking up all kinds of things.
Yeah, well, we could. There is plenty of stuff that could be on that pedestal.
Well, taking a look at our requirements, the main thing that's jumping out to me that could be locked in there, the Fire Rod, or the Ether Medallion, which is required for Misery Mire, or even the Cane of Samaria. Unfortunately, chat, yes, he had his best opportunity to ped check, but swerved me and didn't. I share in your disappointment.
I believe Chex is going to be able to make the checks that Salty could not make earlier. So he's going to be checking Paradox Cave and um, shoot, Spiral Cave.
Saltyphry did not have access to the Moon Pearl when he came here the first time, so there's still quite a bit of items hiding up here on the mountain.
Oh, and of course there's also the floating island, which we can get to in inverted without the mirror since it's inverted.
And via a well constructed bridge. And since this is inverted, we have the mirror in hand for Saltyphry, but not for Chexhuman. There are quite a few possibilities of items hiding and available for us in Turtle Rock. He'll have to go back to Pod to pick up his mirror, though.
And of course, also along with Spiral Cave, he could choose to check Mimic Cave as well.
In fact, he can jump right down after he clears the mountain if he so chooses. And Saltyphry is just making their way through the village. We know there's not a whole lot hiding out here except for the silver arrows that he picked up in the well.
And the flippers that were in Blind's hut, I believe.
True, and then he'll also find the bottle here in the race game that'll likely pick up. And Chexhuman has finally completed his first heart container. He's got 4 hearts.
In chat, you're asking about laser bridge. Well, Chex cannot do that without the mirror, so he is SOL in that situation.
And the mirror locks away quite a bit of Turtle Rock. As you can see, there's just a few more ledges there you can jump down, and looks like Chexhuman is heading on over to the Tower of Hera. As we see that our smiths here are minters today. And he's going to go ahead, and Chexhuman's going to go ahead and pick up his ice rod, which you can just walk to in Spectacle Rock. Alright, time to head on up the Tower of Hera. For those reference, the Mirror and Book of Medora are in the Pod Dark Maze.
And then Bombo's medallion was in the big chest of Pod.
Which is currently our only access to Ice Palace.
We've got a basement required Hera.
Alright, it's time to go ahead and take us a little bit of a coffee break for Chex. Though he does not have an easy setup for it, aside from maybe an arrow, I suppose.
He needs to be a little careful. He only has 1 heart, and 1 hit will kill him.
Looks like he's gonna go try to set up a coffee break here. And does indeed do so. As Saltyphry gets his K45 on.
Still needs to be careful. Those Moldorms will kill him with 1 hit.
Chexhuman definitely living the life on the edge here, but I think he's going to go ahead and take the Death Warp out and the 3-heart refill. And it looks like Saltyphry is going to be giving us our first check toward the desert area. He does have access to the palace, as well as Agina and Checkerboard Cave, because inverted, as well as this Bombos tablet we have not yet seen.
And as well as the Mire area once he mirrored.
A lot of checks available here to Saltyphry. As we hold our sword to the sky and pray to the gods, set a bird on fire, and receive 10 sticks. And now we'll go head on up and see what our Desert Hermit is holding on to.
Yeah, a lot happened there for just a little.
We know those Hylians, they love their fanfare. map for Chexhuman, and we find out a heart container and a piece of heart art require a big red bomb. So
That actually,
our only heart container.
yeah, that actually might be worth it. Who knows?
We'll see where these runners are sitting health-wise if they decide to take care of Ice Palace and go back and finish Thieves Town for Chexhuman side in order to get a heart container. Checkerboard Cave is just 20 rupees. As Chexhuman makes his visit to Moldorm. Piece of heart on the desert ledge. Read a book. Moldorm's down with a little trouble for Chexhuman. Gains his final prize of the compass and his pendant of power.
Meanwhile, saltyphry over in Desert Palace. Want to check and see if this dungeon is boot locked with his first chest check.
Open the chest to find the small key, where we still have a chance to not be boot locked as long as the big key shows up on these two chests on the right hand side.
Alright, one chance left here for no boots requirement for desert.
And now we've got to find some shoes. But he does find his completed heart container. He is going to go back in here and check the hint tile, however.
Chex just got the fire rod in Spiral Cave.
Well, well, well. And just a joke hint here. I think saltyphry is going to go head down to the desert ledge and pick up the piece of heart here. And then they may, and I think from there they're probably going to mirror over and check over the Meyer shed. So that fine for Chexhuman. It helps him a little bit, but I still have to give saltyphry a little bit of the edge on completion here. It may take Chexhuman quite a bit of time to get back to the Palace of Darkness. And our Mimic Cave today is holding on to just $5.
So we need Ether Medallion to get into Misery Mire. So we need one more medallion.
So we need to finish our coin collection before we can complete this scene. Bomb post not required technically now, as we know that the fire rod is available to us on the mountain, and it looks like saltyphry's heading there next.
Yeah, now saltyphry heading over here with a mirror in hand, he can go ahead and go into Turtle Rock.
He does have access to the laser bridge for sure, and we have logical access to it as we have the cape.
And also, one more check he can do is the Ether Tablet, if he chooses to go over and check Hera.
I'd imagine Hera's probably on the list. He's going to go over to the east side of Death Mountain, loot all the items there, and then come back over, check the tablet and the pump and the tower. Has to make it past the Lionels here. Gonna go ahead and burn through his magic bar. And that was very close to a fireball there.
Makes it through. He's all good.
And he's gonna jump down and grab himself access to the light world here and probably crack open the door. Unfortunately, does not have enough magic to crack open Turtle Rock.
Of course, there was a full magic refill in Super Bunny Cave, but I guess he probably didn't think about that on the way there.
No, probably not. As he has to be careful, as he just got dead rocked, and that dead rock would have killed him. Looks like saltyphry is trying to fight his way over to the Tower of Hera. Has to be careful on that single heart. Alright, Chexhuman, where are you heading to next? Are you going to find redemption with Blind the Thief, or are you going to head on... Where are you heading?
He's probably going to either finish Thieves Town and or go into Skull Woods to finish it.
Well, he's heading south. He doesn't have the mirror in hand. I think he's going to go ahead and check hammer pegs here.
Well, he cannot without the mitts.
He had to have picked them up because he looted all of Death Mountain there.
Okay, the tracker just didn't show it for me. There we go. Unless I'm just colorblind, because they probably were there and I just missed them.
And he held the sword aloft and didn't find much else on that Bombos tablet, so it's time for saltyphry to make his way through the Tower of Hera. We know there's nothing really here for him. Goes ahead and takes the Death Warp for the refill. Get tired of listening to that beeping noise. Sweet corn on pizza. Pretty common in Korea, from what I understand. Have not been brave enough to try it myself. saltyphry is setting up their coffee break as Chexhuman is going for redemption against Blind the Thief. Now has the Master Sword and Sword Beams available to him instead of just the hammer like the last time he was here. Also gained an extra heart. Sword Beams are going to make this fight a little more easy despite the fact that it's off script. Unfortunately, he loses his sword beams there, and he's about to take a hit. Takes his single heart refill from his blue potion. Alright, down goes Blind the Thief for Chexhuman. Redemption got. Has to feel good for Chexhuman going ahead and finishing up the thing he couldn't finish earlier, but he still will need to make his way to the Palace of Darkness.
And just like I said earlier, it looks like he's going to finish up Skull Woods.
And saltyphry finds this news that there is health behind the Pyramid Fairy.
Interesting that Salty decides to just fall after checking the big chest instead of trying to bomb jump.
I'd imagine that was probably just a health save. Though he could set himself up for the health refills with below Moldorm. At that point, I don't think you... Because if you fail that bomb jump or get hit by that spark there, it ends up being a time loss. Alright, Chexhuman is going to head on in toward the Moth, has one less heart than our friend saltyphry. Alright, and down goes Moldorm for Salty. And there's the pendant for saltyphry. 2 out of the 3 for him. He had a chance to check the pedestal, but did not do so.
And that will be dungeon number 4 completed for saltyphry.
Now I'd imagine he's going to go ahead and take care of the rest of the Light World Mountain here. We'll pick up his fire rod in Spiral Cave momentarily. But it looks like he's going for this cave first. so we have a Master Sword Fire Rod Moth fight here for Chexhuman. I forget how much damage a hug from the moth does.
It does 2, I believe.
2 hearts from the moth, or the beams, and then a single heart always from the spike traps. And that was a fairly clean fight, having to dodge through a lot. Only rewarded with the compass, but that's his 4th dungeon completed.
I do not believe Chex checked the chest underneath the bridge in the back of Skull.
And there we find another potion for saltyphry, so that's bottle number 2. But I think he counted out his items, and perhaps decided not to go with it, because he has save and quit out.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's right, because we found the heart piece and the Quake medallion previously.
There's only 2 items in Skullwood, so he's done there. And hopefully for Chex's sake, he's heading back to Palace of Darkness, but looks like he's dipping south. I think he's thinking ice. And one of our inverter changes showed off. You can just walk right in.
Yeah, an early game in inverted, that is one of the potential options for you trying to find progression very early on. And here comes Laser Bridge on Salty side.
I have to say that this this light world access was fairly kind compared to other seeds I've seen. And that'll be a death for him, but
Yeah. Salty just picked up the boots from that first chest.
definitely a great find, as now we have access to finished Desert Palace. And there's the flute. Not the most it doesn't actually lock anything in inverted mode. It does, however, speed overworld travel a little bit.
Yeah, theoretically, if the mirror was in the mire area, then the flute could lock the mire area.
It's not often that it shakes out that way. It's not a 100% lock. And
These
Salty Fry,
lasers,
they are not nice at all.
yeah, they're not being very friendly. He keeps getting bodied.
Go ahead, and he just goes ahead and sets that up. Now that's the key. So he would, if we had the Cane of Samaria at this point, he could have gone straight to Trinex. Though he has not yet picked up the Fire Rod from Spiral Cave, but I think he's going to head and climb the mountain again, as we showcase just how unfun looting the mountain is now.
Chexhuman choosing to use a bomb instead of the hookshot on those pink gators. I think all 3 hints in Ice Palace were garbage.
That's unfortunate. And again, we did find quite a couple of decent hints to begin the seeds, so they can't all be helpful, right? I have to think that my favorite hint in the game is some caches in Ganon's tower. Or the anything requires a bomb hint. As there's just so many items, so many locations that are technically bomb locked.
Another one is the something requires the hammer, which the hammer blocks a lot of places.
But not as many places as you think, is because the hints are set up to work for any mode. So behind the hammer doesn't refer to anything in Turtle Rock, because of this inverted mode that we get to watch. Alright, Salty Fry is heading back into the light world here via the village. Where are they going next? Going through a inventory check, what do we still need to find? We still need to find the Ether Medallion to gain access to Misery Mire. We still need to gain the Cane of Samaria.
And that should be it.
Yep, so 2 items left for go mode here. It's definitely one of the features of Inverted as we finally get our Serenade to the Swag Duck is just... The early game is not fun, and then it opens up. You get go mode fairly early in most seeds and clear through quickly. You just have to make your way through the Dark World Open, which in this seed was fairly kind to our runners, I would have to say. No deeply hidden Moon Pearl this time. And is this saltyphry gonna bait me again, or is he gonna go for it?
I think he's going for it this time. Unless he's going to go in the back of Skull Woods first.
He could do both. Be nice to me. Oh, you jerk!
He knows you're commentating, so he's trying to hold you off as long as possible.
And then he dips south to go face the Gibdo room. Perhaps, though he did leave his portal there, so maybe he'll check it afterward? We find another piece of heart in Ice Palace for Chexhuman. Cane of Samaria and our Bolt Coin holding us back from no mode. Chexhuman still needs to go back to the Palace of Darkness to gain their Mirror and Book of Medora from the Dark Maze.
Also needs to go grab the boots from the Laser Bridge in Turtle Rock. Once he gets his mirror, of course.
He's gonna go ahead and burn all these Gibdos to the ground in one fell swoop. Because screw Gibdos.
Burn the Gibdos.
And then Chexhuman demonstrating that you can use sword beams to help break that ice case. And no tempered swords, so no easy corner setup, and that's an unfortunate death for Chexhuman. Welcome to expert mode, folks.
Yeah, I believe one hit with his 4 hearts on any one of those cotton candy balls, he is dead.
Yeah, Cold Steers do a base damage of 4 hearts. saltyphry couldn't survive that fight. He has 5. He's going ahead and taking on the Moth here. Takes a 2 heart. Ooh, that's a hug and a laser beam hit. That Spike Trap could take him down. He's going to grab his red potion here. There's one more Fire Rod shot available to him. And down goes the Moth for saltyphry. That is dungeon number 5.
Chexhuman probably forgetting that he did not have the green pendant yet.
Well, he has 2 out of the 3. Unfortunately, not the one he needed. Though he did see the hint earlier that it was a shield.
Salty did not choose to go check the pedestal. I'm sorry.
He just doesn't want to see the pedestal. There's only, though he sees only 2 items left for go mode for himself. Not going to Ice Palace quite yet. He's going to go ahead and check the Zora area here. And it looks like on our right-hand side that Chexhuman is finally going to go ahead and finish the Palace of Darkness, getting him his mirror and his Book of Medora. saltyphry is also going to check our free bottle fill here. And that's a blue potion. That's a nice free fill. It's only 1 heart and 25% magic, but that's... As far as safety goes, that's all you're going to get in expert. saltyphry will make their way up and get the unfortunate news that they spent a whole lot of money for a whole lot of nothing here. Everybody loves premium bombs, right?
Of course.
I mean, technically, that would fill his bomb, so it's not a complete waste.
Seems like a pretty terrible deal, though, to get 3 bombs for 500 rupees.
And chat bringing up a good point here. Chexhuman will also find the Bombos medallion here, which will make his redemption with Cold Steer a little more magic efficient. And it looks like saltyphry is gonna head and swim back down, and then they're probably thinking Ice Palace. Or not. Where are you going, sir?
Probably turning in the mushroom.
Oh, that's right, he has not done so yet. We know, unfortunately, the going price for magic mushrooms in this instance of Hyrule is just $5. The puns hurt me. Alright, and Chexhuman is heading on down to the Helmasaur King. saltyphry is now swimming over to check the Boots Lock locations here in the graveyard area. And here we have and this is King's Tomb, the only location in Inverted that is 100% locked by the Titansmith.
And not a very good reward.
All you really need is $5, right?
Boy, if that were the case, then I think everyone would be good in life.
Well, this will be the one to let you know that Graveyard Ledge is a whole lot of nothing.
More useless crap. Yay!
Just as useless as my super obscure 90s music references. And saltyphry, at 1 hour and 17 minutes in, is finally going to check the chest in Sanctuary.
Which is also useless.
Well, when there's still over 100 locations left to check and only 2 items left to find, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be deemed useless for us.
True, I guess.
And Bonk Rocks has for us another $5. And saltyphry using a whirlpool, I cannot remember the last time I saw used.
Wonder if he's going to check both the hint and Ice Rod Cave if he hasn't already checked Ice Rod.
Curious to see if he chooses to mirror to the hint tile or not. It looks like he is doing so. After he checks Ice Rod Cave to find nothing. And Chexhuman makes his work of the Helmasaur King, and that is dungeon complete number 5.
And not before picking up his mirror book and Bombos medallion, which he desperately needed a long time ago.
Yep, and to answer the question in chat, no, we have not yet seen a Lumberjack cave check.
That is very interesting, considering we can beat Aghanim right now, and we can also get the item in the Lumberjack.
And there is our deeply hidden guaranteed boots hint in the hint tile that you're not often going to check. As Chexhuman, I believe, has already been to Ice Rod Cave, the chances of them finding that hint are next to none. So those boots could elude them for a very long time.
Looks like Chex is now going into Swamp Palace.
Or I think he's heading to Mini Moldorm Cave, as he hasn't been there yet.
I said Chexhuman.
Oh. Names are hard.
I mean, they can be. Let's be real. There's probably some names in this tournament that in the past stages that we probably couldn't pronounce if we just looked at it.
Hint tile and the some cash and some cash are firelocked in Misery Mire. Well, that's a good hint to find, so that's a little bit of time saved once we get our way to the mire. Still need to find our bolt coin to actually gain access to it.
That would have been nice to get a left side swamp hint or a big chest swamp hint.
2 items left to find and a lot of checks left to make.
It seems like both runners screwed up trying to get both the checks in the dam in one go. Wolflink making a point though about that hint though, making it look like Mire is a useless dungeon to go and try and check items.
No, absolutely, it's a great point. As Misery Mire only holds 2 items, we're now just on the hunt for the big key in that dungeon. As we're going to go ahead and continue on here. Both of our runners making our way into Swamp Palace now. We need to find the Ether Medallion and the Cane of Samaria to finish the dungeon. Make our long way across. Just 3 bombs in our first chest here in Swamp Palace.
Checks, since we only saw, we didn't see any dungeon items, Chex is going to go ahead and head straight to the back of Swamp.
Definitely a play you often see. Just avoiding the left side of Swamp until it's absolutely deemed necessary. And 5 rupees, and the big key for Chexhuman. As we're making our way through Swamp Palace, don't be afraid to give these guys a follow. They're putting on one heck of a tight race for us today. And there is Arcane today. Just the bolt coin eludes us now. That's gotta be progression. To answer a question in chat, no, we did not receive any swamp hints today. But the Cane of Samaria opens up more of Turtle Rock for us and Misery Mire once we find that bolt coin. Alright, and we're going to make our way through the nice fight here. Takes a couple swipes with the Master Sword to take down the R guy here. It looks like we're setting up for some Ice Rod strats. Nice bit of stun locking there and the quick kill from Chexhuman. Well done.
Wonder if they're gonna go back in, because we have, I believe, 2 items left to get in here.
And that is our green pendant. That's all 3 pendants. The pedestal is now in Logic. And saltyphry goes in for their fight with Argus here. Not quite getting the quick kill, but just in one more spin takes down Chexhuman and go ahead and set his bird on fire to receive his 10 sticks. Interesting that Chexhuman has decided to leave the Swamp Palace. See if saltyphry decides to dive back into the last things left. And he's decided he has had enough of Swamp Palace as well. Saltyphry is heading to ice. As Chexhuman is opening up the desert. Just some recursive checks for runners, though Chexhuman will get the unfortunate news that he is boots locked and has to get his way up to Turtle Rock, the laser bridge, to find his boots. One has to wonder how much knowledge of inverted they have that they know that they can get into that portion of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that runners new to inverted might not realize, that they can get into Turtle Rock without going in the main way.
Now, he does have access to the main way via the Gate of Samaria. However, depending on how where the keys are hidden, it could change things significantly.
Of course, we only saw one small key on Laser Bridge.
To that. As he gets his joke hit, he'll probably just head on down and pick up his piece of heart hiding out of the graveyard ledge here. Saltyphry hopefully has confidence in their Ice Palace bomb jump, but with a few less hearts to fail with. If he fails this one, that'll bring him down to a half a heart, but he's got it picked up. Ice Palace bomb jump get for Saltyphry. Chexhuman also getting their news that they're still looking for the Bolt coin. Still no sign of that yet, but as of right now, the only place that we've really got left for us to complete is the end of Desert Palace and most of Turtle Rock. So we have not. See, we've turned in the Smiths. We haven't done Magic Bat. We haven't found the powder for it yet.
I believe both runners turn in the mushroom, so we do need the powder to go check Magic Bat.
So really, all that's left to us to Turtle Rock and Desert are where one of those has to be holding onto our Bolt coin.
And of course, as you mentioned earlier, yep, the pedestal.
Which Saltyphry refuses to check for me. Vanilla piece of heart from our friend Nagina. Alright, Chex, where are you heading to next? He's heading up the mountain. Wonder if he's thinking TR now.
It would be a good play, because he'll get his boots and flute. And of course, being able to get to the rest of the dungeon.
It is clearable now. Fire Rod, Ice Rod, and Hand Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, this is the play that I would have made.
Also, the Bolt coin could be hiding out on the left side swamp, which both runners abandoned.
Oh man. But there is one hint left, I believe they can check, which is that Turtle Rock hint. I wonder if that's going to tell us anything interesting.
Well, Chexhuman is heading that direction after he makes his way through the Lionels. Saltyphry is going to go head on down and take on his bout with Cold Stare. Actually, I think he still needs to check Iced Tea.
Now, if we find Ether here, then that would put Chex in go mode, wouldn't it?
Once he gets his way through the, then we find out that we had to do the fire locked portion of Tower of Hera. So thanks for that.
Yeah, of course, we would know that Chex would be in go mode once he hits Laser Bridge, but for all he knows, he still has to find those boots.
Which those were on Laser Bridge, so.
Yeah, we just have to pray that Chex goes all the way to the end of Turtle Rock.
Have to imagine, well, he will have to. Whether the key logic allows him to get to this by going through the front door is yet to be seen. And Saltyphry is going to go ahead and check and grab the safety room here, so he has his full 6 hearts from Cold Stare, so he can take a hug and a half.
So a hug and a side hug? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm thinking there. But unfortunately, Cold Stare is not a fan of the side hug. Only about those front hugs. All right, there's a Bombos cast for Saltyphry as he's on heads on out, and let's take care of some cream puffs.
Good
Does his
start
best
so
to
far.
set them up in the corner. Loses a stray fire rod shot, unfortunately.
He's taking one of the puffs down.
Puff number 2 down.
And down goes Cold Stare.
And there's the magic powder. Who wants a fetch quest?
This would really hurt Chex if this turns out to be Ether.
If that's Ether, that may just nail Chex's coffin.
Especially since Chex tried to beat Cold Stare earlier and failed to do so.
It looks like the keys are setting up, so Chexhuman can go through the front side of Turtle Rock here.
Yeah, interesting and inverted, seeing that all keys, these keys in the front were letting you go front to back like in a normal game.
Not often seen here in Inverted, but I mean, I have to say, this seed really didn't mess with us as far as being inverted all that much. Because none of the normal, early, awful inverted plays were necessary. Most of our items, the items that put us into the light world were just kind of easy checks. And rather linear, if I say so myself.
Salty didn't immediately go check powder, did he?
No, he did not. He is heading up, and he's going to go ahead and take care of Turtle Rock. He's going for item density.
Yeah, the smart play, but who knows if it's the right play or not.
And he can always flute his way to the village. I mean, if I had to guess, he'll probably finish Turtle Rock. If we don't find Ether Medallion here, he'll probably flute to the village, knock that out, and then go to Desert.
Check's finding the bug net in the roller room.
Best item.
By far.
Alright, and we're heading into Turtle Rock. Chexhuman, we did not find the bolt coin inside here. Unless it is hiding on our friend Trinex.
Chex would be wise to go set his respawn point here.
And it looks like he's heading directly down to do so. Unless this hard hat beetle has other other plans for him. Oh, he's out of magic. There's his flute. Uh-oh. Those hard hat beetles are something else, aren't they?
Especially the red ones. They charge after you like no tomorrow.
Saltyphry burns through his magic meter to pick up the two things here, but he'll just mirror back and grab the full magic decanter at the entrance. With his boots, Chexhuman feels a little bit better about these laser skips. Now he's going to go ahead on down to Trinex. Curious bit of double checking the chest. Definitely still open.
Had to make sure that the ether medallion wasn't buried in the bottom of it.
Alright, it's time for our first visit to Trinex.
Okay, it looks like Trinex has the map because I just checked his items and he did not have the map in his possession.
Alright, so Turtle Rock comes up a bust aside from the required crystal to complete our goal. And he's setting up for a quick kill hammer strat here on Trinex. Unfortunately, not quite getting it there. He's got to be careful with his magic meter now. Don't believe he still has a blue potion. So he's going to have to be tried and true with these fire rod shots.
Salty taking a death. I'm not sure what that was all about. Uh-oh, I think Chex is a little SOL here.
He is out of magic. Thankfully, he set his respawn point, so that's not going to cost him all that much. I'll have to admit, looking back in the fight, that was interesting how that hammer strike threw him so far across the room on the ice head. I don't think I've seen the ice head throw you across the room like that.
I'm not exactly sure, but I guess it knocked him into a spike, I guess.
Yeah, I've never seen it I've never seen someone get knocked back that far. It threw him almost 3 tiles.
Looks like he got that first strat.
Watch out for the main head there.
This fight is still not over because Trinex does pack a punch.
Absolutely no tempered sword here to set up that easy quick kill. Alright, let's try next down for Chexhuman. We know we got the map to find, so... Really, what's left for him is Ice Palace. And I suppose now Desert is available, as saltyphry unfortunately takes a death on Trinex.
Yeah, Trinex and Expert is no fun fight.
So with that being combusted, we get a really nice little cane dash from saltyphry. That leads us to the desert and the pedestal or the magic bat holding onto the ether medallion. I guess more so in chat, switching Ice Palace for the powder, which was locked in Ice Palace. And Chexhuman will get his piece of heart from the sky here. Saltyphry wakes up the center head and unfortunately swings a fire rod shot the wrong direction. And we have it. Looks like Chexhuman is deciding to take care of Aga 1 while he's up here. Definitely not going to be a better time for him to take care of the castle tower here.
Yeah, it's the most convenient after beating Turtle Rock because you won't ever want to come back up here again.
I'd imagine saltyphry is probably going to make the same play after he takes care of Trinax here. And he does so take care of Trinax. Took him a couple tries, but this is expert after all.
Add left side swamp to that list too. We have not seen that yet.
Who could forget the left side swamp that we completely abandoned?
Well, apparently our runners.
Interesting that they both decided to do so, and that pretty much leads them to potentially last location it.
Yeah, Nat has to feel bad.
Looks like saltyphry still has to take care of Mimic Cave here. Or actually the big... Oh, after he took that death, he has to route around parts of Turtle Rock he had not checked yet. Because he decided to go to Laser Bridge after he took that unfortunate death here in Turtle Rock. So he still has to go back to the big chest in the Vanilla Big Key location.
Yes. Chex finding a hint it was a useless one. It told us something we already knew. Some arrows is above the pose.
And that's the last check for saltyphry there. I think they surmised that there's just a key or a compass hiding in that last chest. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and climb up and take care of Aga 1 now.
Chex had low health. He was kind of playing risky there just then in that last room. If he'd fallen, he would have had a half a heart left and be playing really.
Well, with Master Sword in hand, I don't think he'll have too much trouble with Aga 1.
All right, how many blue balls do you think we're getting today?
3.
That's usually what I guess, so I'm gonna go with that.
There's 1. There's 2. Or just 1, excuse me. I started counting hits. Here comes lightning phase. Only 1 hit remaining. Blue ball number 2. And there's 3.
Will we win today?
Oh, we're up to 4.
Never mind.
As a reminder that the RNG for the Aghanim fight is locked between these 2 runners unless somebody takes a death. And I counted my hits wrong, but down goes Aga 1 for Chexhuman. Castle Tower complete. He still needs to go back for Cold Stare and take care of Desert Palace, and find that Ether Medallion hiding wherever it is hiding. Still no sign of ether. We've got the left side of Swamp left, we have the back of Desert Palace left, the pedestal, and the magic bat.
I believe, don't we also have Lumberjack Cave? Because I don't think
Oh
either
yes,
runner has actually
Lumberjack
checked.
Cave. We have the boots, we've beaten Aga 1. It could have been sitting there this whole time.
And neither runner decides to check that at the beginning, so we just never know.
We have completed all of Turtle Rock, so we don't have to worry about them. And it looks like we're finally going to get our intel on the backside of Desert Palace here. Interesting that it did not come down for him. We are on the search for at least one item. So it looks like we're on the search for one item left here in Desert. And there it is, 20 bucks. So no Aether Medallion here. Alright, and it's time for Ega 1 for Saltyphry here on the left, and we get to head back toward Landmolus finally for Chexhuman. So we've got Pedestal, left side Swamp, or the Lumberjack Ledge is all we have left for holding onto our Bolt Coin.
And the Bat Cave.
Oh yes, who could forget our Bat Cave?
So that is 5, I think, locations.
Wouldn't go mode be quite the curse from the bat? Oh, you're right. Nobody's checked Spike Cave yet. So that adds another location.
Make that 6.
It's always interesting too. It's just hard with all many trips up and down and in and out of the mountain. Things can get lost. And looks like Saltyphry is gonna go ahead and hopefully not swerve me and actually check something I say he's checking. Yep, that's a Lumberjack check. Hour and 48 minutes in, and he's going for a straight dive of the Lumberjacks. And there's our Bolt Coin. 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 42 seconds in. Saltyphry has entered Go Mode.
All this time, we could have known that from the beginning.
That knowledge was there available from the beginning, but neither runners decided to go that way, and Saltyphry bonks his way through the bushes. I imagine his next move is going to be a flute himself over to the desert area, take care of Meyer and Desert Palace, and then he's going to head up to Ganon's Tower. What a seed this has been for us today, folks.
Who knew that Go Mode would come from beating Aga?
Not only was Aghanim required for our goal, but required for progression. It seems to be a night of Bolt Coins. And Chexhuman is going. That's an interesting setup for spin speed. It looks like Chexhuman is going to go ahead and check the Smith here. We know that's only holding on to $5. All right, all Saltyphry has to do is dash their way through the desert, take care of the land mollusk, and then go ahead and do a Misery Mire check. We know that the left side of Mire, the Firelock locations are not required at all. So this could potentially set us for a God Mire, or at least a not fire locked mire. So we're gonna go pretty fast.
It'd be even more godly if Salty knew how to hover, and I don't know if he does or not.
At this point, I don't think you hover unless you're feeling super behind. But if you're in Salty Fry's position, you have to feel pretty good. Your sequence break in the early side didn't net a whole lot of much, but most of the decisions he's made have led him in the correct direction for this seed. And the gambles, like abandoning left side of swamp, have left himself in a pretty decent position.
Chex is pretty close to. I think he's heading this way. Chexhuman is going to check the lumberjack cave, and so he will be put in go mode just a second. Oh, after checking bonk rocks, it looks. Salty Fry beating Len Mullis, now getting all 7 crystals. You know what that means? I believe it is time to put some numbers in. Oh, sorry. That's a false alarm. He has not beaten Meyer yet.
All right, we're gonna go head on in and take care of Misery Meyer once he finishes mirror bunking. Go ahead and hold our sword to the sky and strike the swamp with lightning and open up Misery Mire. Take care of the last dungeon, then we can head on up to Ganon's tower.
Where is Chex going? I'm not sure he realizes he's in go mode. Picking up a potion?
He's going for a little bit of safety. It's just single heart, but any little bit of safety helps right now. He has had a bit of he has had a bit more difficulty with the bosses that our friend has that Salty Fry has. Interesting he would choose to go with the red potions when he could flute to the blue potions. Because those are some very expensive single hearts. When you could spend 10 rupees more and get 25% magic meter on top of it. Oh, I suppose you're right. You can't flute to potions. I apologize.
I don't think Chex remembered to activate the flute, so he's just running over to the mire. Well, he could have activated the flute while he was over in Kakariko.
Interesting, but even so, you still can't. Won't have direct access to the witch. But Chix is heading into the desert now. Actually, no, he has to head to Mire. I apologize.
Salty Fry finding the big key, so it wasn't exactly a god mire, but it wasn't the worst.
No, there's no need to worry about about fire locked locations at least. All right, now we're gonna head on back toward Vitreous. Go ahead and pick up the full magic decanter, and when we finish up the Vitreous fight, I think there's something that's something that we'll get to do here in chat.
Yeah, maybe this time I won't jump the gun like I did a second ago.
That's all right. I'm super excited to play the game as well. As we get near the Vitreous fight, we'll let you know that there are 22 locations in Ganon's tower that the big key could be hiding. Once Vitreous falls, I will open up chat. You can place in your bets here. There is no uh, requirement for support for the Link to the Past randomizer channels, though it is definitely appreciated if you were to choose to do so. There is a leaderboard available. It works off a point system, which scales off of what would be depending that scales off of how many people are guessing in the game. The more people guessing, the more points you gain. Also, if you get a correct guess after someone got the first guess, you also gain 5 points.
I think we should go ahead and start the game since you can just save and quit.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that started in because there's a bit more chances there to get there. All right, so while we finish up Vitreous, what is your guess?
I always go with lucky number 7, that is yet to work out for me.
I'm a 17 kind of guy, despite the fact that it's never worked.
You seem to keep changing your answer even though
I know, I'm just bored. I'm pushing in numbers. The Vitreous fight wasn't very fun.
oh no, Check's taking a death in Mire. Salty not remembering that he can save and quit in the light world.
Or I think he's going to pick up another red potion here. I think this is intentional.
Fair enough.
Actually, it's a blue potion. This is a blue potion that's there to prevent a bit of soft lock shenanigans. This is not something that will be there forever. Actually, I think the save and quit only works after you defeat Ganon, perhaps?
No,
Oh, it looks like he's setting up to go pick up the big bomb for the extra heart.
yes, that's a good play to make right here, getting yourself a guaranteed extra heart.
And I don't know how many pieces he have. He could potentially gain 2 hearts here. Won't save him from a Ganon hug, though. As you would need 9 to survive a Ganon hug, because it's 8 damage.
Man, that's just so unfair.
Absolutely, and as we're taking a few more extra moments to get through, there's still time for some extra guesses here. Get them in chat here. And Chexhuman is going to go ahead and finish off Misery Mire. They still have to go back and take care of Cold Stare, however. All right, just 1 heart container finished there. All right, final chance. The crystals are spinning. And let's go. 15 points are guess to the winner. Chest number 1, 5 rupees.
Chest number 2, another 5 rupees. We are going to the left side.
Chexhuman on the right hand side taking care of. And that's the shovel in space number 3. Vitreous down for Chexhuman. He still needs to head on down to take care of Colster before he can head into Ganon's tower.
Salty Fry about to come on through checks 4 through 7.
Number 4, bottle. Number 5, small key.
Number 6, another small key. And number 7, another small key. We have to keep going.
We've got to go deeper.
What could chest number 8 hold for us?
Number
Just
8,
some
3 bombs. This Chex forgets to let out his golden bee before he picks up that.
Goodbye to the bee. We never knew it.
Good bee, we will miss thee.
Salty coming up on chest number 9. What will it be?
Number 9, 50 rupees. Now we're headed into the randomizer room, thus named so because we would only time you would visit this room is in randomizer.
This will be number 10 through 13. Lots of possibilities.
$10, 20 rupees. 11, 5 rupees.
12 more 5 rupees. Big key!
And if you guessed number 13, you are the winner. And congratulations to Arcade Gaming, who guessed 13. They scored 15 points and will end up on get themselves onto the leaderboard.
Spot on guessing.
Unfortunately, has them just one single point out of being visible on our leaderboard there. Shinya Kuza at 42 points is the current point leader. We've got a gauntlet to climb.
Salty probably going to stop by the restock room to get fair.
And it looks like he's going for the refill room. Definitely can't blame them there. Shoutouts to Sinak in chat, the creator of the Tile Room bot for the Length of Past Randomizer channels. And Chexhuman is making their way back toward Redemption with Cold Stare.
Salty Fry heading to the hardest rooms of the gauntlet, especially an expert.
Is anything truly easy in expert mode?
These are the questions we must ask ourselves.
Alright, here we on to the land mode 2. Chexhuman on the right hand side. Having a little bit better of a go of it with the cold stare puffs this time. Can survive a hug, unlike the last time they were here. Out of magic. Just be careful, he's down to a single heart here.
One puffball remaining.
And down goes Toadstare Redemption for Chexhuman, and they're headed to Ganon's Tower.
Just a save and quit away for Chexhuman.
And Ganon's tower get. Full magic refill picked up for saltyphry. Has to make his way through this last bit of fire puzzle. Has to be careful. He is down to 3 hearts. And there's no sanctuary heart here to save us.
And Aghanim 2 is not a gimme.
Interesting to not choose to use his magic powder to get the 2 hearts there.
Cover the gap, cover the gap.
I don't think you're hovering right now at this point. If you haven't seen a dot done, you make no risks. For all you know, your competitor can be right on your hills.
This is top 32.
Alright, and here comes Agate 2 for saltyphry. As we begin our second required geometry puzzle, we get ourselves at least a double, if not a triple, depending on iframes. Not quite catching that hit there. There's another double. 1 hit or 2 hits, depending on iframes. Alright, so that's 2, 0, 2, and 2. Now we're heading down to the king of all bacon.
The big ping himself, Ganon. Chex, I believe, found the blue cane over on right side.
Oh, good. I was wondering where that was.
Yeah, extremely useful, right? Oh, wait.
It looks like saltyphry is going to go ahead on here and pick up a couple hearts that he knows are hiding here in the castle in the escape sequence. A good use of game knowledge there. Now it's time to get on down and face the big pig.
What does Ganon have to say to us today?
Alright, and we have quite a few Master Sword spins to set up here. This is Expert Mode, no Tempered Sword today.
That Trident got really close to Salty just then.
Definitely has to be careful, as he cannot survive damage from Ganon himself. Alright, here we go in phase 2. Takes a fire shot. Setting up some risky strats here. Gotta run from them fire bats.
I think that's at least 8 hits on phase 2. Oh, never mind.
And that doesn't matter, because that's death on Ganon. Welcome to Expert Mode, folks.
Good thing is that you start with 5 hearts every time.
Not that it's going to save you. It is nice to get those double hits there when you can set them up. There's 8. 9, I believe.
Actually, he just needs 1 more. Okay, never mind. He actually got a double anyway.
Okay, now we're on to phase 2. Has to be careful. Any damage is going to send him to death.
You shouldn't have said anything.
This is not a silverless Ganon, but it is a Master Sword only because expert mode. So there's no semblance of RNG lock left here.
Needs 2 more hits. 1 more.
Ooh, that trident bodied him. Here comes phase 2. Playing a little greedy and getting punished for it there.
Same way as last time.
To repeat the same action and expect a different result, don't they call that madness?
I was gonna say insanity, but that's not the right mode we're playing, right?
I mean, madness, this is rando. Careful for the trident, saltyphry. Unfortunately, the asking in chat, unless the only time that Ganon takes damage from the hammer is if it's swordless mode.
Finally manages to get that hookshot strat down.
And did not take an earlier hit, so that does just set him up for get us closer to the phase.
Those fire bats being a little finicky with that pattern.
Definitely playing it a little safer when he's in that bottom right-hand corner now.
Good position here.
That's gonna be really nice. Ganon can't touch him here until we get to the fire bats, which he has to piece out of. And here we are into phase 3 for saltyphry. And he remembers to switch on his silver arrows. Third hit get. And there's the 4th.
Did you find the silver arrows in the light world? Yes, we did.
Quite a long time ago in the Kakariko Well. Does not quite manage to get the torch glitch, but he's doing okay. Has to be careful not to fall off the edge here, since he is set up for a double there. 1 more silver arrow. And the final arrow falls into the big pig. Get your GGs in chat. The fanfare plays. The sword is raised to the sky. Expert inverted all dungeons. It doesn't matter. It's almost over. Just a 1-by-3 bridge between him and victory. And with that bridge cross, I can now announce that saltyphry has finished this race in first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 33 seconds. GG's to saltyphry.
Put your GGs in the chat, people.
That was absolutely one heck of a race. What are your thoughts as we hopefully get our saltyphry in here for an interview?
I think Salty really routed this pretty well. Considering it was expert, whoa, did I just see a double triple on Chex's side?
Definitely great execution there by Chexhuman. It had kind of failed him once or twice in there, but that was excellent.
Anyways, good on saltyphry for routing this out well and managing to stay alive on these hard bosses. But now we're going to see Chexhuman coming into the final game.
Alright, here we go. So we get into the start of the Ganon fight here for Chexhuman. Few more Master Sword spins. We're setting up for a decent start. Have to be careful with this bottom right-hand corner, though. And unfortunately takes a Ganon hug here. In the meanwhile, we have been joined in chat by saltyphry. GG's to you.
Thank you.
So how about this Ganon fight that we're watching on the right-hand side?
Yeah, in expert mode, it's not exactly that easy. That's for damn sure. You definitely need to put some practice into it. With only 6, 7, or 8 hearts, or whatever you end up with there's not a lot of room for error. You better be able to dodge those fire bats, or you're gonna have a really rough time.
Absolutely, that's the way it's set up. So I guess thoughts on the scene overall?
Overall, it wasn't too bad. It probably could have been even faster. Like early, at least in terms of my execution early on, I felt like I was executing pretty well. It started to fall off later on, kind of, maybe just due to exhaustion. But the seed itself, like if I had just checked lumberjack earlier on, I really feel like this would have been a lot faster, just in general, because I ended up doing quite a few things, searching for just that ether medallion that I very easily could have just checked and known where that was quite a while earlier.
I was gonna mention well, it's just not wanting to take a look at that ledge, or just not really having a good time to route it in. I was just curious why you chose to let that go for so long.
Yeah, well, like when I was coming along there with the boots the first time, like I ended up doing, I did King's Tomb, the Graveyard, and the Bonk Rocks, and then I was planning on jumping into that. Like one of the things about inverted I find is that the whirlpools are quite useful to jump you around to where you need to go. So I was planning on just hopping into there because that whirlpool right there, because that took me right down to Ice Rod Cave, which was basically where I wanted to be to do all my other things. And I figured going all the way up there at that point and running all the way down seemed kind of a long way. And I don't know. It was something I definitely probably should have maybe considered a little more, but I don't know. I just kind of gambled that it wasn't anything, and obviously it wasn't the right gamble at that point. But I guess it didn't really matter in the end, so I can't really complain.
No, those things definitely come into play. Though you did have, there were 2 times where you up there by the pedestal and that, and chose to go other directions, as you debated me hard. Going in though, I have to admit, looking over it, as far as inverted openings go, this one was rather kind. Wouldn't you agree?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, you get the hammer very early on. You get the gloves very early on. The moon pearl's not too bad. I mean, I would have preferred if you didn't have to go into pod without the bow and whatnot. Although obviously the bow's in there, so you get it anyway. But like as you could see, like I literally put pod off until the very last thing, including sequence breaking up to Death Mountain. Because like I literally was hoping like what I was literally thinking is like I do not want to go into pod, find the lamp the first thing in there, and just end up going up to Death Mountain and just double dipping that way, where I could just head straight up to Death Mountain and say get the moon pearl up there, and we'll get back to pod and get that lamp later on when I actually need it.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting that it was the forced double dip there, which the part of pod was locking onto the lamp.
Yeah. What's interesting is if I had actually made it a little further through the dark room and got to that Bombos medallion, I almost certainly would have actually tried to kill Helmasaur that first time. Because if I had the Bombos medallion, I would have been reasonably confident that I could have gotten through the turtle room, the dark turtle room in the dark. But with just a fighter sword and just a hammer and 3 hearts, I don't really like my chances. But with the Bombos medallion, at least I can take them out reasonably well.
No, absolutely. That was definitely the right set of plays with the information you were given, and I think that fire bat's gonna. Ooh, nice switch of the onto the hook shot there to avoid that fire bat. So I guess while I got here, this was your pick. Why did you do this to us?
In general, I'm a fan of inverted mode, and I like the general challenge of expert mode. I would have been a little happier if I'd finished a little stronger on the boss fights, but in general, I'm pretty happy with how I executed on the boss fights. I like the low percent challenge kind of. I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, so I like ramping up the challenge a little bit. It's definitely quite a bit harder than hard mode. Like hard mode is a step up from normal mode isn't really that big of a step up. Like expert mode from hard mode is a much bigger step up.
No, absolutely would agree on that, and definitely overall, until you got to the very end of the seed, the boss execution was extremely clean. You didn't have to double dip any of the bosses that Chexhuman had to.
Yeah, I was definitely happy that I pulled off that blind hammer fight. Like that's something that's definitely not always going to go that well. I definitely did a little fist pump when he went down, knowing that that's something that may or may not have gone as well for him as it did for me. Cold stare was another thing where I did that without even taking a hit, which is always a nice sign when that happens. So like overall, Vitreous went really well as well. Like those are all bosses where you never really know when you're going in there with green mail and 4 or 5 hearts because things can go badly really, really quickly.
All right, absolutely. And get your GGs into chat now for Chexhuman. He's taken down the big pig. It just has to cross that 1x3 bridge, and he has achieved completion. He has finished the scene with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 50 seconds. GGs to them.
Yeah, GG's.
All right, and as we wait for them to hopefully join us momentarily, so what are you? It looks like you were just getting ready to set up your second race with them momentarily for coming up in the next couple days. How do you feel going into the second race in this series?
Good, considering I won the first one. There's not a lot of pressure going into the second one. Then I can just kind of see whatever happens, hope for the best, and take it from there. In general, I'm a pretty easygoing guy, happy-go-lucky, so I just kind of take what happens and I just enjoy the.
All right. Any other questions there for our runner there, Ralkin?
No, I think you pretty much covered all the bases.
Should hopefully be joined by Chexhuman momentarily. I guess while we will look to fill the time, how do you feel about the tournament thus far and your chances going through the rest of bracket stage if you were to make it out of this?
Well, anything can really happen. I don't know how far I'm necessarily going to make it. I mean, there's a lot of real good names in this tournament still, so anything can happen. I'm not necessarily the most experienced player when it comes to a variety of settings. Up until this tourney, most of what I'd done was just basically open and standard with a bit of maybe hard mode and expert mode mixed in with that. So this has really gotten me a little more out of my general comfort zone. I've been doing more key sanity, more randomizer, even a few retros here and there. As fun as that is.
A retro mode. Oh boy.
All right, and it looks like we're also joined in the chat by Chexhuman. GG's, how are you doing?
GG. Good, thank you.
So definitely, GG's and well done fighting through that one heck of a seed. What are your thoughts overall on that entertaining bit of buffoonery?
It was tough, but I'm glad I didn't get hung up too much. And I'm glad I'm finished within 10 minutes of saltyphry.
Absolutely, it was very well done. A couple of the bosses gave you a little bit of hiccups, but the main thing I want to call back to is the how long it took you to get back into Palace of Darkness, which was holding on to the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a bad route. Ice Palace was just kind of a crazy thing. I was feeling a little bit stupid already because I forgot to go to Sahazrala, and then I don't know. I just figured I would route in Ice Palace and then go. And then yeah, I had been meaning to go to Palace of Darkness, but then forgot, I guess.
And it's interesting that you were the one that chose to stick to the sequence and go to the Dark Palace instead of heading up toward the Dark Mountain. What was your logic there?
Well, actually, I should have gone right after the pyramid, but just I don't know.
How much inverted had you played coming into this? Just out of curiosity.
Not very much. I did a practice run yesterday. I'm not a big fan of racing inverted, but I'm glad it exists and it's kind of cool.
Definitely a lot of care brought into the mode. All right, so looking forward into the game 2, have any idea what you might want to select, or do you want to hold that until we you get your guys' next race set up here? Looks like next week by the chat.
I was thinking some sort of retro or swordless or some combination.
So why do you lean toward that?
They're just kind of quirky modes. I appreciate them.
So expert retro swordless, correct?
Expert is a little bit beyond my pay grade, but I'm up for the challenge when called. So yeah, just happy to compete here. And it's really great that Randomizer gets to show off all of its features. Good stuff.
All right, and thank you. It looks like we're gonna go ahead.
Not
and
all of
get ready.
it, but sorry to interrupt.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
mean, I like to do entrance and glitched modes as well. So the tournament doesn't have it all, but there will be more tournaments for all of that. So
There's definitely a lot of randomizer yet to be seen as we get ready to close on out of our broadcast day for today. Relkin, any final thoughts as we look toward the future?
Just looking to see a lot more expert probably for a lot of these races, and it'll be a lot of death, a lot of sorrow, a lot of pain, but hopefully we won't have any forfeits because of that. Let's just hope for that.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll go ahead and look toward the future. I want to thank both saltyphry and Chexhuman for joining us. GG's to both of you. Have a great one, and hopefully we'll get to see you in your next race soon. If you have not already done so, please give these runners a follow. They've done a heck of a job fighting through one pretty tough seed. Looking forward to the future here. There are currently no more races scheduled for tomorrow. Though there looks to be at least 3 scheduled for Saturday. A hard mode Key Sanity Ganon race between Jet and Azazaz. An all dungeons inverted swordless hard between Willard Jade Bradley and Mackinax. And a Ganon standard Uncle Assured Key Sanity between Ack the Poker and In the Name of DT. Lots of more randomizer action heading out to you. Also, check out the start of, I believe, should be starting tomorrow and Saturday and possibly into the Sunday. There is the French versus German final that'll be on Speed Gaming 2. A lot of fun to be seen there. Feel like and that's just a open mode seed. Should be a lot of fun. Relkin, any final thoughts before we send it off?
Thanks for commentating with me. It was a good time, and I'll see you guys later, I guess.
All right, and an extra thank you to our restreamer, the mighty Mr. Broadstone, the tracker, the excellent WolfLink0370. I am bungeed to the tree. It's been fun. Good night and good rando.